Siguiente habitación. El aviario.
Check out that butterfly.
Looks evil.
Parece tal.
Wow, judgmental.
My little writing desk. It's kind of cute.
There's nothing written in the book, although someone's torn a page out of the middle. They're bird cages. But the birds are coming and going freely.
Is that a metaphor?
Oh, it totally is.
Bird diagrams. Hand-painted.
They're beautiful. Someone really knows their stuff.
Bird diagrams.
They're beautiful. Someone...
What's with those little windows down there?
I think they're there for draining rainwater.
Oh.
Tiene sentido.
Does this count as being outdoors?
Yeah. No. Doesn't matter.
An especially fancy cage.
And it's home to 3 especially fancy birds.
3 pájaros de colores vivos en una pesada y ornamentada jaula.
Oh, just beautiful. What is it?
Huh?
Sort of a delicate jade, but with a little seafoam green, is that right?
Sorry?
Your hair, dear! Which shade do you use? It's lovely! In that shape, you're really pushing the envelope.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can to offset Grimoire's beige on brown ensemble.
Detectives don't need to be brightly colored. We prefer to blend into the background.
Oh, you're the detective? Delightful. Penny Pointer, pleasure.
Is that short for Penelope?
Officially, yes, but I never can be bothered with all 4 syllables of it. Penelope sounds a little ostentatious coming out of the mouth, don't you think?
Sure. Yeah.
Vale, señora.
20-something, Aquarius, love to travel, and nearly all of my friends are birds.
Travel? Where to?
Anywhere at all, as long as it has species worth studying. Ornithology, they call it. I call it the only thing I've ever been good at.
And have you studied the birds here at Tangle Tower?
But of course! Where else do you think I developed my love of the field? No matter where I go, I always find myself coming home to Tangle Tower.
Because of the birds.
Oh, no, because of him! Silly to admit, but I suppose I can't bear for us to be apart.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, don't you know? My fiancé, dear Fitz.
Vale.
He's not really the
La otra
traveling
opción.
type, you see.
Fitz Fellow.
The very one.
You're engaged to a member of the Fellow family? That's interesting.
I'm not especially interested in whatever tedious feuding goes on between our 2 families. Fitz and I find it much easier to stay out of it altogether.
Pero tú no estabas casada. Se me confuso.
I awoke early and headed down into the greenhouse to see Fitz. He's always there. Crack of dawn, every morning
dijo que
like
había sido.
clockwork.
How come?
It's where he's happiest. That, and he has a great deal of work to do every day. Watering, pruning, mulching, whatever that is.
Do you help him with the work in the greenhouse?
Oh, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I'd probably break something.
So, you stayed with Fitz the whole day?
No. In the early afternoon, he went back inside. Rather suddenly, as it happens.
Did he say why?
He didn't. Probably just a touch of heat stroke, the poor dear. He's more delicate than you'd think.
What did you do after that?
Let's see. I returned to the aviary to feed my birds.
And how many birds are you responsible for?
Officially 4, but in truth it's more like 400.
Can they not feed themselves?
Of course, and they often do. But I think they just like the company. As do I. Sometime in the evening, I left the aviary and headed back towards my room. But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. He was muttering something. Seemed a bit upset, the poor dear. I followed him down, but the grand hall was empty by the time I got there.
ese
Empty aside
tío
from
sale de
Detective
su
Hawkshaw,
torre y
who's
va
loitering
directamente al
over
otro
by the
lado?
library.
Porque vio algo desde
I
arriba.
don't know what it was, but she looked a little
Lo llevo
lost.
pensando un buen rato.
I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower. I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared
Según
and
el
blocked
mapa hay
my
un
path.
telescopio en el otro lado.
For some reason, he was coming out of Fitz's bedroom. He looked rather lost, too. I told him I was looking for Uncle. He suggested we look up in Flora's tower room. We could see from the hallway. The door was off its hinges. I knew then something was terribly wrong. A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya. Uncle Pointer was there. Fitz, too, standing over in the corner with Fifi and Poppy.
What about Flora?
Of course, silent as ever. Uncle suggested we should leave. Give the others some space, you know. So he and I both returned to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Vale,
We can get into Penny's room now.
Now, like,
vale, vamos allí. Es que, fíjate, hay un telescopio. Apunta a la otra torre. Quiero decir, ¿por qué el tío baja y va a la otra torre? No. Tuvo que ver algo por narices.
A little tea set. Looks recently used.
one of the cups has tea in it.
What's in the other one?
Birdseed. A little bedtime reading?
Let's see. Romance novels, detective novels, and
What?
this one appears to be both.
Nice. It's a birdhouse.
Are those real birds? Nope. They're wooden.
They're using up all the perches. What if a real bird wanted to use it?
A ver, el ojo. Cambia las posiciones de los pájaros. Cerrado. Ya, pero ¿dónde está la pista? En los ojos, supongo, pero... ¿Esto es Mendel? ¿Es Mendel? Es Mendel. Los guisantes de Mendel, Javi. Verde liso, verde arrugado, amarillo liso, amarillo arrugado. Biología. Genética, sí. Vale, a ver. Un padre con el ojo abierto y otro con el ojo cerrado te puede dar un hijo con el ojo semiabierto, medio abierto y cerrado otra vez, ¿no? O sería así. Así. Cerrado, abierto y semiabierto, ¿vale? Así.
Nope.
There must be some logic to how the birds are arranged.
Me
Something to
falla el
do with
ojo.
those white lines.
O sea, la pupila de las de abajo. Bueno, los colores influyen también, puede ser, ¿no? Quiero decir, si los colores influyen, a folia amarillo da verde. Mira, pa' ahí, coño. Blanco y verde da esto. Verde y rojo da marrón.
I got it.
Puede ser.
I'm impressed.
Es más colores que Mendel, pero sí. También tiene que ver con los ojos. Es que adoro la biología, Galán. Tiene que ver... O sea, es un puzzle de genética, ¿vale? La pista de la genética está en los ojos. Ahora te lo explico, Javi. La pista de la genética están los ojos, ¿vale? Es decir, dos padres con los ojos como los tienen estos dos pueden dar un hijo con el ojo en el centro. O un hijo con el ojo para el otro lado. O un hijo con el ojo para el otro lado. Es gen recesivo. También está en el arte, porque azul y amarillo mezclados da verde. Verde más blanco mezclados da el verde clarito. Verde más rojo mezclados da el marrón. Sin embargo, el rojo tiene el ojo cerrado en línea. Y el verde tiene el ojo abierto del todo. Entonces el marrón mezcla ese ojo. Por lo tanto, tiene el ojo abierto en línea. Y eso es la genética del puzzle. ¿Me sigues? Si llego aquí solo me muero, creo. No, porque no necesitas resolver el puzzle puro por la genética. Con los colores te basta.
Did the door open? What's...
Ahora iré a por ella. De tu madre. Un trozo de papel arrancado y hecho una bola. En su interior había pétalos de flores rojas. Un papel tiene grabado un mensaje airado. Ahora iré a por ella. Los pétalos de flor proceden de rosas rojas que crecen en el jardín de la azotea. ¡Uy! Alguien se enfadó. Yo creo.
There's something weird about it. It just feels out of place.
Traveling cases.
Empty. All of them. We already solved it.
Ya lo resolvimos, vale. No, pensaba que me dejaría ver el puzzle otra vez para enseñártelo.
Looks like nature invited itself in.
Cuando lo canjeé no me esperaba que lo hiciese a este ritmo.
Rude.
Alam, nos pasamos el de Return of the Obra Dinn en un día. Y los de Run también me los paso en un día. Bueno, en una tarde.
Looks like nature. Rude. Traveling cases.
Empty. All
¿Quieres ponerme puzzles? Más chicha. Más chicha, galán. Pero no sé a qué ritmo se refiere si todavía no he terminado con las habitaciones. Y bueno, aparte son cortitos. Son cortitos, pero lo corto del juego también depende... Este tío da muy mal rollo. También depende de lo que te trabes tú a la hora de hacer los puzzles. Porque, por ejemplo, en el de Run 2, creo que fue Sefi, recuerdo que estuve en un puzzle de mierda 40 minutos y era una gilipollez.
A picture frame.
with no picture.
It's tidier than my desk. Oh, the notebook is untouched. It's complete.
So, even the most well-used notebooks start off blank.
Luego también soy
You know,
culpable de que
I've
mi mente está
always
pensando
wanted
la
one of
solución antes de decirlo en voz alta y mi mano lo está haciendo también antes de decirlo en voz alta. Entonces,
A mechanical
sistema solar
solar
mecánico.
system?
Yo siempre he querido
What
uno,
would
pero
you
estos
do
que
with it?
cuelgan de pared, que son súper chulos.
I would look at it.
Wait a minute.
Aquí faltan planetas.
Earth in the middle. Sun on the outside.
Dale, es un sistema geocéntrico.
How old is
Muchos.
this thing?
Gira los 5 planetas, el Sol y la Luna en torno al centro. Vale, veo las sombras. Tengo que hacer que coincidan las sombras con... Tengo que hacer que coincidan las sombras.
That's the one.
¿Vale?
Hey, not bad.
¿Qué pasa, Galán?
Did you hear that?
¿Está
There's
abierto
a little
algo?
hatch
Una
underneath.
escotilla debajo.
What's in there?
A bunch
¿Qué
of
hay
paper.
dentro? Un trozo de
Looks like
papel. Parece
somebody's
la
research.
investigación de alguien. Una investigación sobre insectos. Los libros de insectos habían desaparecido. Varias notas y diagramas de una investigación. El escarabajo dorado, llamado así por su exoesqueleto compuesto por un mineral idéntico al oro en un 90% aproximadamente. Vive varios años. Se defiende de los depredadores con un fuerte silbido. Han registrado más de 95 decibelios. y por ser totalmente indigerible. Este mistido tiene la reputación tanto espuria de traer mala suerte a quienes lo ven. Hay que
A
revisar
spyglass to the
They're in
stars.
very good condition.
It's too cloudy to
It's
see.
also daytime. There's something
Tío, me da
kind
muy mal
of...
rollo, ¿eh?
I just expected a bit more from an astronomy tower.
Oh, does it not compare to all the other astronomy towers?
Pretty.
Let's at least...
Always a good roll.
Shh, listen. Do you hear them? The stars. They're whispering. So quiet, and yet so loud.
What are they whispering about?
Pues flipa lo que nos
Are they
ha
spreading
costado
rumors about us?
resolver la mierda del
I
cuadro
shouldn't
con el
think they
cuchillo de su
concern
mano.
themselves with such insignificance. We are but specks of dust, you and I.
Mm-hmm. Could this speck of dust start by telling me his name?
You find yourself standing in the astronomy tower of one Professor Percival Pointer.
Seems like this tower belongs to the Pointers, and the other one belongs to the Fellows.
Well observed, my dear. Tangle Tower is something of a duality, as it happens. Meaningless boundaries, really. They exist only in our minds.
Helpful.
Me?
Ya me trabaré,
Not much
Gala,
to
no te
say.
preocupes.
Strictly speaking, I'm the current head of the Pointer family. And, of course, father to my precious Poppy.
And a professional astronomer?
Oh, no, that's just a little hobby. I mean, yes, I've studied the stars for over 35 years, published 17 books.
Just a little hobby.
Sounds like you're quite well known. You must bring in a good amount of money.
Oh, dear me, no. My field of research has never yielded any kind of stable financial return, nor would I expect it to. I am nothing but a humble interpreter for the cosmos, working to translate its message so that I may share it with the world.
Cool. Tell the Cosmos I say hi.
The day began as any other, with blissful, unremarkable routine. I took my usual morning walk around the gardens. Fresh air does wonders for the mind.
Did you see anyone else?
Penelope and Fitz were in the greenhouse together. I didn't bother them, of course. I sat for a while besides the pond in the garden. It's a favorite spot of mine. Eventually, I returned to my tower and buried myself in my studies for the afternoon.
Did you use your telescope yesterday?
Once the stars began to appear, naturally.
For how long?
I can't say. I've been known to lose hours at my telescope.
Did you see anything?
No actual discoveries, if that's what you mean.
So you were all alone up in the astronomy tower. Must have been a while before you found out what had happened to Freya.
Quite. Normally, I would be the last to find out about such a thing. But a curious tug of fate led me towards the fellow tower later that evening.
Ya, ¿por qué?
I was at my telescope for the majority of the evening, but at one point I returned to my desk to look something up in a reference book. I couldn't find the book I wanted, so I figured Fiona must have borrowed it. I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall. I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library. She looked impatient and slightly frustrated.
Same as ever then?
Quite. I passed her by and went upstairs to Fiona's
Pero la
room.
mandaste no
The
meterse
door
en,
was
en tus
locked, but I
asuntos.
could hear shouting coming from inside. I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter. I had no desire to invade their privacy by eavesdropping, so I waited for them to finish and come out into the hall. Before I could ask about the book, Poppy grabbed my hand and took me upstairs along with Fiona. It was apparent that both of them had already been crying about something. We went up to Flora's tower. Freya was laying on her back, right in the middle of the room. Flora and Fitz were already there. They both looked stoic as ever. Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did, and then Fiona went downstairs with Poppy for some reason. I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Why did you leave so quickly? Wasn't there anything you could have done to help?
Don't take this the wrong way, but the whole ordeal is fellow family business. I'm quite sure they don't need me getting in the way at a time like that.
That's all the statements.
Coinciden
Let's
bastante
go
bien.
over them all. That's all the statements collected. Let's run through them all to see if anything doesn't add up.
To see if anyone's been lying.
That too.
Fitz and I were up in the moonlight garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds.
We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. So I made Fitz kick down the door.
Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back.
I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall.
But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs.
I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared.
I didn't know what to do. So I ran downstairs to get Fifi.
I heard someone heading down the stairs, just outside my room.
Someone began banging on the door.
Ahí es donde está la mentira.
Until the someone began shouting at me.
¿Quién más bajó?
Eventually, she let me in.
I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library.
He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun
Según Félix
up the
bajaron
bellows
dos
staircase.
personas.
As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me.
I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower.
I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me.
Primero baja
She
una
got
despacio y
angry.
luego baja
I thought she was
otra
playing a trick
muy
on me,
rápidamente.
so I
Esa es
punched her in the
Poppy.
face.
Falta la primera
I
persona que
recognized
bajó.
Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter.
We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs.
I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path.
Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her.
Poppy left the room for
Así
a
que hay
while.
otra
When she
persona que
came
baja de
back,
la
she had her
torre.
father with her,
Y no lo ha
and
dicho.
Fifi too.
Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did.
A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya.
Then I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting.
She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes.
I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything.
An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance.
I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
That's disappointing.
What is?
All the statements line up
No,
with each other.
hay una que no.
They don't just line up. Some of them even seem to specifically confirm each other.
No puedo hacer nada más aquí.